The last few days have been an emotional roller coaster for me, so just hang with me. What I'm going to say is important. I just spent the last few days in Minneapolis at the site where DHS agents took the life of Alex Pretti. And I got to meet with activists and veterans who've been on the ground for months, people who both live there and people who came from around the United States to help out their neighbors in Minneapolis. So first, and the most important thing, is people need to understand that even though Minneapolis is no longer in the headlines every day, the federal agents are still there. And they've changed their tactics a little bit. They are now going out into the suburbs and even rural areas where there is no resistance. The population is not dense enough for activists to get on the ground. And the people outside of the city are unprepared. I got to meet with a veteran who was a patient of Alex Pretti, who was a nurse at the VA. I got to sit down and talk to one of the restaurant owners who opened their doors and just served people for free in the days following the murder. And the reason that this trip was such an emotional roller coaster is because there was I'm at a loss for words. It was such a punch in the gut to actually go to the Pretti Memorial. I mean, I'm 1,000 miles away from Minneapolis. I've never gotten care at the VA where Alex Pretti worked, but the VA saved my life. I have gotten care in multiple states in the District of Columbia at the VA for most of the last 20 years. And when Alex was killed, I saw the people who have been keeping me alive and healthy for now almost half of my life. At Alex's memorial, there were stethoscopes and nurses' uniforms with messages written from his colleagues, the people who knew him. There was all this handmade artistry, just little trinkets of appreciation for him. And going near the memorial site itself, it's like walking into another world. Like there's a cone of silence. You feel it. I was on site for basically 2 whole days. And every minute of every day, there were people at the memorial paying their respects. There were candles lit, even in the rain, 24/7, the entire time that I was there. And I went up to that memorial multiple times because it's a lot to take in, and it's a lot to feel, and it's a lot to see and witness, and to speak to the people who live there, whose lives are forever changed by what happened that day on that street. It was frankly just super overwhelming. But while there is a lot of shared trauma and this city has gone through so much, what the real dominant emotion was, which is so essential to resistance, was hope. The reason I came down there is because I was helping to host a concert, a free tribute and fundraiser for the community, hosted by the Dropkick Murphys, or headlined by the Dropkick Murphys. And there were a bunch of local bands that were just absolutely incredible. And it rained through a lot of the day, but still thousands of people came out there. And the juxtaposition of, in the distance across the street from where we were hosting this concert with thousands of people who were partying and having fun, there was still this memorial. And this was the most incredible and largest celebration of life that I have ever seen. And there are 2 things that Minnesotans, that people from Minneapolis want us to know, us Americans from all around the rest of the country. First is that they still need help. There are tons of businesses that have been shut down because both their employees and their customers have been afraid to go there. There are students who haven't been in school for months. Their teachers are raising money, buying food, cooking for them, and delivering food to their homes because their families are terrified that they're going to be followed home and that they're going to be kidnapped. And in a city where Renee Good was murdered in cold blood, and just a few days or weeks later, Alex Pretti was murdered in cold blood, all of this on video. And then to see their own government deem these people who were helpers, they were there for their community, they were there for their neighbors, they branded them as terrorists. Both of these victims, both of these Americans. Though there is a lot of hope in Minneapolis, there's still a lot of fear, and it's not misplaced fear. So there are 2 ways that you can really help the people of Minneapolis, and that's, one is keep talking about this. National headlines are busy with war, which is fucking important, but Minneapolis has been experiencing war too. So uplift their stories. The second way is send care packages, send money, visit, go to Minneapolis, see the city for yourself. One of the things that I noticed immediately was when I was driving through the city was that every single building had signs in it. Every single building, every neighborhood was rejecting what was happening, what their federal government is doing to them, the federal occupation the terrorism that our own government is imposing on these people. So look, I'm helping to raise funds through Veterans Fighting Fascism, my nonprofit, to help Minneapolis communities. If you want to see this free concert that Dropkick Murphys hosted with a ton of awesome local bands, go to abolish.ice.live. There's something like 8 hours that you can check out. And all of the funds raised from that website are going direct to the communities that are affected. And the second important thing that people of Minneapolis want you to know is that you need to get yourself prepared, because what they have been experiencing, it's coming to you and your neighborhood next. Keep in mind that DHS just got a massive infusion of cash, that they are training tens of thousands more federal forces to come occupy American cities. And I want to emphasize, it's not just the cities. ICE has learned their lesson. People in cities can organize more easily because they're densely populated. They're coming to suburbs and rural towns all around the country. Their capacity to do damage is going to continue to grow over the coming years. So look, if you want to get organized, if you don't know where to start, I've got a manual that is ready for you to just pick up and run with. If you go to veteransfightingfascism.org, I've got a bunch of manuals on how to start an anti-fascist book club. So this is a way that you can gather like-minded people, have an excuse to meet with them in person and talk to them and get to know them. And from there, you guys can start making a difference in your local neighborhood. You can start planning a resistance. So look, the last time that I checked, we had raised $45,000 through abolishice.live. And we did that in just about 48 hours. So I want to thank all of the generous folks who've helped out. And I want to encourage anybody who's got the capacity that hasn't given yet to please consider giving now.